Huge game on Monday night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You won't believe it. Tottenham Hotspur are playing, and they're going to be playing against Chelsea. Now, going into this season, we wondered where these two teams would be. Lots of change, new managers at the helm, and one of them, of course, is an ex-Tottenham manager, legend, in fact. Some said they shouldn't have got rid of him. And now
call him a legend anymore.
We step into a game of football where Spurs, I think if they win, will be 17 points clear of Chelsea. Wow. Let's break this one down. First of all, the history between Tottenham and Chelsea, for anyone who doesn't know much about that, this is a spicy one, right?
It's very spicy. We absolutely hate each other. I actually think, do you know what? I know that some fans might disagree, but I think there is more heat in this game than Arsenal Spurs. I think that's a rivalry because of location and we just hate each other. But we are nowhere near each other and we just hate each other. We really do. I don't know why they really hate us. We don't do anything. But we've seen lots of good fixtures over the years. Battle of the Bridge, Dembele poking eyes out and everything.
Wonderful times.
It was wonderful times. It was lovely. We'd love to see it. But yeah, this is a very spicy affair. It's now the Pochettino derby.
Of course. Of
course.
There's been so many clubs and clubs. There's been so many players who've played between the two clubs.
Yes.
Long list of players.
This is the first time a manager, though, has ever been a Spurs manager and gone the other way.
Of course, Glenn Hoddle went that way.
Jose this way, Conte this way. This is the first one, and the one that you loved the most has done this. I know there was a break in between, but...
It was a long break in between.
It wasn't a long break. So
did you expect Poch to have accumulated more points and to have got this team into a better position, having spent all the money that they had?
Absolutely not. I think Chelsea have bought so many players without an actual idea of how they want to play, and so they've ended up in this situation that Poch is now having to deal with, whereby essentially he's constantly rotating because he's still trying to figure out how he wants to play. And also,
is that not down to injuries a little bit?
Yeah, there's also injuries as well, but then there's the contributing factor that he's got 5 or 6 centre-backs. He's got a striker that at the moment is well out of form, and so he's bought in Cole Palmer right towards the end of transfer deadline there, which ends up looking like his best signing. Yeah. So he's had to find a way to crowbar him in while he already has a bunch of right wingers and left wingers. So I think it's just a messy situation, but I actually don't think they've been that bad. The results don't reflect their performances. They just can't put the ball in the back of the net, which at the moment is a massive problem. And I'm surprised that we haven't seen him play Sterling through the middle on a more regular basis, because out of every player he's got in his team, the only player that is probably going to score goals regularly is going to be Sterling.
The underlying stats for Chelsea are generally kind of okay, but I've certainly heard different creators, Chelsea creators, talking about they're bored. They're bored of it being like, well, the underlying stats are okay. Put the ball in the back of the net. Let's get moving. And this is a game where it suits Chelsea to a point for me, because I think when they did well against Arsenal, I wasn't outrageously surprised, because you have a team that will sort of come at you and you haven't got to break down a low block, which is what Chelsea, I think, have been terrible at. The game against Brentford, now, there was a couple of big chances that they should have taken, and it changes the game state, changes the game. And Brentford, obviously, a bit of a bogey team. But again, it's a sort of a low block that you've got to be able to break down, and Chelsea don't seem to be able to do that. So a game against Tottenham, who only have plan A, right?
Will this play into plan A, to be fair?
Especially at home, though, as well. Is this one where, I guess, the fear for you would be that you're going to play into their hands a little bit?
No, look, I think that this is the game that we must win. Like, we must win this game, because it's Chelsea at home, it's Pochettino coming back. At all costs, we must win. But, Andrew's been very open about the fact he plays his style of football. He plays his way, and he's not going to change that for anyone, which is fine. You're not going to have a low block at home. I mean, my God, we've seen that for the last 4 years, haven't we?
But does that leave you susceptible?
It does leave you susceptible, but it leads you to have an open game, which is what we want to see. I think I totally agree with you with Cole Palmer. He's been the best thing, I think, about Chelsea this season, for sure. If I look at their team, he's the one person I look at and I think, is there something that he can do there? Is he a game changer? Linking up with Raheem Sterling if he plays down the middle, potentially. But I still don't particularly fear them. I still think that Tottenham, there is no better time to play Chelsea than now. They're still finding their feet. And I did feel like it would take time with Pochettino coming in, because I remember when he came to Tottenham, it took about 7-8 games to kind of get the ball rolling with what he wanted to do and understand what he wanted to do for us to start seeing results. And I think once they can put the ball in the back of the net, things will look different. But I don't think it's necessarily playing into their hands. I think that they're coming to us, so you set up how you want to set up, and I think there'll be a lot of counter going on as well.
I thought if it was going to work with Poch, it would have worked a bit quicker than this, if I'm honest. I thought they would have been had a bit more cutting edge of what they're doing. There would be a little bit more movement and understanding of that movement to play those passes. I think you're right, Cole Palmer is the one guy who gets in those half spaces. I think otherwise you've got players who want to kind of take players on a lot of the time, or be physical, be a box-to-box player like someone like Gallagher. But, 4 key passes in his last game, 1 big chance created, recorded a total of 102 touches. So, like you say, for that last guy coming in to be the guy that's sort of just about knitting it together is a little bit disappointing, I think, from my point of view. To Tottenham, how do they hurt this Chelsea side?
I think they keep doing what they do. I really like how Spurs play. I know they only have this plan A at the moment, but they're super mobile. They're building a 3-2, but what you often find is they can switch whoever is playing in that build-up, which is quite rare for most teams, because you have sort of Pedro Porro, who everyone labelled him as a terrible right back before any of us ever seen him play right back. And actually, if you play him as an inverted right back, which he occasionally does do, he does it very, very well. And also, they found this new thing with Brennan Johnson down that left side, which I think is a new sort of like trick up their sleeve, because previously they had Richarlison, who was a little bit more reluctant to run beyond the man. Now they've got 2 wingers that can run beyond the man. Then they've got the best finisher in the league, in my opinion, through the middle in Son. And so then now you sort of going, most teams are going to have to constantly think about how you stop Spurs, and that is a great position to be in if you're chasing the league. You have a style, you will play said style, and as long as they avoid injuries and things like that, they can carry on doing this over and over again. And Bissouma, by the way, he's one of your favourite guys. Don't let me steal this, please.
Well, no, I think I
have the moment.
I have, there's a video out there of me calling Bissouma a joke, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. I think he'll have a huge part to play, because I think that midfield will be a battle. Can he suck in some of those Chelsea midfielders who I think in time we're thinking that Chelsea midfield is going to be pretty special. I think actually the game for Tottenham is going to be one out wide, as you spoke about Brennan Johnson. I think he's got 5 progressive carries per 90. I really like him out there. I think he's actually a really good finisher as well. And Richarlison's conversion rate in terms of his chances is 5%, which is woeful. You're looking at about, I think even from out wide, you would like 15%. So that's poor. Kulusevski on the other side is always really, really dangerous. Yeah. And if it does get into a bit of a ding-dong battle, then I think that leaves space. And Brentford got a lot of joy down that side against Cucurella. So you could see Kulusevski he's just got so much stamina, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's just incessant.
His work rate is just incredible. I mean, he might not always get the fancy headlines, but I don't really want the fancy headlines for him. He just comes in, he does his job. He's so physical. He carries the ball really well, and also can put the ball either in the back of the net or into the box and into those dangerous positions as well. Creates big chances. I love him, and I think that when he came into the Premier League and he was so explosive under that Conte season, that's what everyone is looking for with Kulusevski. And you think, oh, well, why is he not doing it? But he really is, and he's putting the work rate in. So where people will be looking at Bissouma or looking at Maddison and looking at Son, you don't need to worry about Kulusevski, because he's doing his job perfectly, and on the flanks is where it will hurt. The reason I think, obviously, Ange has played Richarlison, Brennan Johnson has been injured a little bit here and there anyway, but I think he's playing because of the work rate, and we can look at Richarlison in terms of what he doesn't do in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, and that is what he is employed to do. But his hold-up play is really good. The way that he tracks back, his defensive duties, I will give him some credit, because you need that as well, especially when
he's a forward, though, Abby.
Especially when
he's the best defending forward.
You play such a high line, and with fullbacks, I am going to give him credit. If an offer came in January, would I take it? Yes. He's still here. I will still say that he does offer something to the team, but I do think Brennan Johnson will probably start on Monday.
Okay. The fun bus that is Tottenham Hotspur in their start to the season. Do they make their first stop in this game? Does it end now? No? What's happening?
I reckon 3-1. I think they'll do what they do. Madison's virtually unstoppable. That Chelsea midfield currently.
I haven't even spoken about Madison. That's mad.
We talk about him a lot. He's very much so spoken about. I also just don't. I just look at the Chelsea midfield and I just feel like it's just 3 guys running around at the moment. So Madison magic again for me.
Abby?
I'm going to go with a 2-1 Spurs win. I think Chelsea will play better. We've seen when they've played Liverpool this season, right at the start, even Arsenal, I know they let a 2-goal lead slip, but they have raised their game when they're actually playing against open attacking teams, and they do struggle against the low block. So I do think we'll see a better performance than. Plus, Pochettino won't want to lose it. Plus, they hate us.
Pochettino
fans. The fans are up for it, but I think that it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. I really do at Tottenham. Lots of venom in it. And I see nothing but a Spurs win, really.
Amazingly, the last couple of seasons, this game has been pretty ugly for Tottenham fans. So it's an amazing change. I think they will get the job done as well. I think they'll win 2-1. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below.